Semper Fi, everyone. I'm your host, United States Marine Corps veteran and living historian, Recon Jack. On today's follow-up episode, I will continue to discuss the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marine Regiment, and how it earned the nickname the Magnificent Bastards during the Vietnam War. The moniker of the Magnificent Bastards was first used by the incoming battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph R. Bull Fisher, the day he assumed his command on 4 June 1964. The 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines was once again committed to ground combat operations, this time in South Vietnam. In May 1965, the battalion landed at Landing Zone Blue, west of Green Beach, near Chu Lai. The first combined land operation of the Vietnam War was Operation Lean Ket 4 between 2, 4, and 3rd Battalion, Republic of Vietnam Marine Division on 28 July. The first major engagement for the battalion was Operation Starlight, which was the first regimental-sized battle for U.S. military forces since the Korean War, and it began in August 1965. The operation was a combined amphibious and helicopter-borne assault on enemy fortified positions of the Von Tung Peninsula, 15 miles south of the Chu Lai Air Base. 6 days after the operation had begun, the 1st Viet Cong Regiment was decisively defeated. During this operation, Lance Corporal Joe Calvin Paul of H Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, became the unit's first Medal of Honor recipient for diverting an attack long enough to allow the evacuation of wounded Marines on 18 August. The battalion lost 52 Marines killed, with over 200 wounded. Viet Cong, or VC, losses were over 600 killed and 9 captured. As a result of Operation Starlight, Lieutenant Colonel Bull Fisher established a small unit of 30 Marines plus 1 sergeant in charge, which became known as the Bull's Raiders. The S2 Scouts, which consisted of 12 Marines, was used to make up this unit plus additional Marine volunteers, mostly corporals with specialized skills. Their mission was to act as shock troops. A new intelligence gathering tactic was established known as Hunter-Killer Patrols. 1 squad, or 10 Marine Raiders, would be sent by helicopter to a staging area where they would break up into 5 separate 2-man teams. The teams would then scatter in all directions, gather intelligence, and relocate to a pickup point at a given time. These patrols were conducted mostly around the Ho Chi Minh Trail area. These Marine Raiders were also used as the first combined action program, known as CAP, to work with a South Vietnamese popular force within Vietnamese villages located within the tactical area of responsibility that the battalion was assigned. Their intelligence gathering aided in the discovery of the People's Army of Vietnam, or PAVN, units in this area. This information, along with other intelligence, began Operation Harvest Moon in December 1965. Operation Harvest Moon was the second major conflict that the 3rd Marine Division, 3rd Marine Regiment, 9th Marine Regiment, and 7th Marine Regiment, along with Army of the Republic of Vietnam, also known as ARVN, forces fought. This operation took place in Con Thien Province, 23 miles northwest of Chu Lai. Beginning in 1966, combat operations measurably increased, with the battalion participating in Operation Double Eagle and Operation Hastings, a coordinated U.S. Marine and ARVN search and destroy mission. Operation Prairie was one of the first operations that was fought in the hills west of Leatherneck Square. During this operation, Captain Howard Vincent Lee of E Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, became the battalion's 2nd Medal of Honor recipient by taking 7 Marines and proceeding by helicopter to reinforce a platoon troubled under enemy fire on 8 and 9 August. Total Marine losses were 200 killed and over 1,000 wounded. The PAVN 324B Division losses were put at 1,329 killed and 7 captured. On 25 June 1966, Operation J began about 18 miles northwest of Hue and lasted 9 days. 2-4 landed north of the PAVN 812th Main Force Battalion, and other Marine units landed south of the PAVN position. Caught in between the 2 Marine units, the PAVN suffered over 80 dead in 9 days of fighting. On 24 September 1966, Battalion Order Number 5600.1B was signed, which officially added, by legal order, the lower pennant with the nickname the Magnificent Bastards. The next major confrontation with the PAVN 324B Division came during the siege of Con Thien in the summer and fall of 1967. This was called Operation Kingfisher and ran from 16 July through 31 October, with the battalion arriving in the area around the 2nd week of September. On the 14th, E Company lost 5 men due to Pavan artillery north of Cam Lo. On the 16th and 17th, Dong Hao Combat Base reported over 17 inches of rain in one 24-hour period around Con Thien. 25 September was the largest single day for Pavan artillery, with the hill and surrounding areas hit with nearly 1,500 130mm and 152mm rounds, causing several Marine deaths. 2-4 was involved in 3 major battles during this period: Buwak on 21 September, Washout Bridge or Bastards Bridge on 14 October, and Hill 48 between 25 and 27 October. The battalion commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel James W. Hammond, was wounded, and the battalion executive officer was killed. But the Pavan was stopped in their attempt to overrun the U.S. outpost. 2-4 started this operation with 952 Marines. 6 weeks later, the battalion left Leatherneck Square with about 300 Marines still fit for duty. Total casualties for Operation Kingfisher were 340 Marines killed and over 3,000 Marines wounded. Pavan losses were over 1,100 killed and 5 captured. During this period of bloody fighting, Sergeant Paul Hellstrom Foster with the command post and Lance Corporal Jed Colby Baker of F Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, were posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions during these battles. There were also 9 Navy Crosses awarded at this time. In September, U.S. Army General Westmoreland, commander of U.S. forces in Vietnam, declared that the fighting on the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, around Con Thien was the heaviest in conventional firepower in the history of warfare. With the help of 71 B-52 bombers, offshore naval gunfire, and the support of all the fire bases in Northern I Corps, the Marines held their ground. On 28 October, Lieutenant General Robert Everton Cushman Jr., commanding officer of all Marines in Vietnam, sent a message to the battalion that read, "2-4 has met and beaten the best the enemy had to offer. Well done." The 1968 Tet Offensive resulted in an increase in fighting along the DMZ. A bitter clash started 30 April and ran through 3 May between 2-4 and the Pavan 320th Division that broke out northeast of Dong Ha. To protect the base, as well as the 3rd Marine Division headquarters, 2-4, reinforced by B Company 1st Battalion 3rd Marines, was moved forward to seize a fortified village and area around Dio Do. The 3-day Battle of Dio Do was costly for both sides. The Pavan lost nearly 1,500 killed, while 2-4 suffered 81 dead and 397 wounded. The battalion commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel William Wild Bill Wise, received the Navy Cross, and 2 company commanders, Captain James Everett Livingston of E Company and Captain J.R. Vargas of G Company, were awarded the Medal of Honor for their bravery and leadership. By 15 May, the Pavan were driven back north across the DMZ. Total losses for the Marines were 233 killed and 821 wounded, while Pavan losses were put at 2,945 killed and 47 captured. The other major operations that 2-4 was involved in were Operation Lancaster II, which ran from 21 January to 23 November 1968. This multiple battalion operations mission was to secure Route 9 between Cam Lo and Ka Lu. Total losses were 359 Marines killed and 1,713 wounded, and Pavan losses were 1,801. Operation Napoleon ran from 29 February to 12 September 1968 and was another multi-battalion operation that covered the Khao Viet River area near the South China Sea. Total losses were 117 Marines killed, and Pavan losses were 3,495. Operation Scotland II was a multi-battalion operation that ran from 15 April 1968 to 28 February 1969 in the Khe Sanh area. Total losses were 435 Marines killed and 2,396 wounded, and the Pavan losses were 3,304. On 6 November 1969, 2-4 was withdrawn to Okinawa, Japan as part of the U.S. policy of gradually turning the war over to the South Vietnamese. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Recon Jack, and perhaps you've learned something new. Stay tuned for more episodes as I continue to explore the hallowed history, traditions, and individuals of the United States Marine Corps. Feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and leave a comment in the section below. I always enjoy interacting with you folks and seeing the growth of this channel. Also, don't hesitate to tell a friend or family member or email me directly to recon_jack@hotmail.com. Until next time, Semper Fi, and carry on.